when they ask me why is my topic beyond the horizons, I would just simply say, in my opinion, you are looking beyond the horizons when you are looking at the common things from an uncommon perspective. So, as I just demonstrated, I'll be talking to you using language. And I'll do that just simply because I can, because we humans have that magical ability to transmit really complicated thoughts and ideas across vast reaches of space and time. What I'm doing right now, I'm making sounds. Those sounds are creating air vibrations. Those air vibrations are traveling to you. They're hitting your eardrums. And then your brain transforms them into thoughts. Well, I hope that's happening. So I can put a really bizarre new idea into your head right now, just by the means of language. Pretend I say, imagine a jellyfish waltzing in the library whilst thinking about quantum mechanics. Well, if everything has gone relatively well in your life so far, I don't see a reason why you would have had this thought before, but I just made you have it through the language. Of course, there's not only one language in the world, there are 7,000, and all of them have different grammar, vocabulary, structure. So this begs the question, how does the language that we speak shape the way we think? So guys, just so you get an idea, this question is as old as the universe. People have been speculating for ages. And the Holy Roman Emperor Charlemagne said, to speak a second language is to have a second soul. A strong statement that shows that the language crafts reality. On the other hand, Shakespeare had Juliet say, what's in the name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Well, a statement that says that no matter how you call a rose is still a rose. And as mentioned before, people have been arguing back and forth, and they weren't able to say who's right and who's wrong. But this was the case just until now, because recently, cognitive psychologist Lera Boroditsky, she came up with the tones of the scientific research that shown how does the language that we speak shape the way we think. So today I will show you a few examples from her research in order to guide you through the question. So the first example is the example of the Aboriginal community called the Cooktayo people. They live on the west edge of the Cape York in Australia. And what's cool about them, they don't use words like left and right. Instead, they use cardinal directions for everything. And when I say everything, I literally mean everything. So you would say something like, move your cup to the right, and they would say, move your cup to the north. And you would say, oh, there's an ant on your left arm. And they would be like, oh, there's an ant on your east arm. So, we humans thought that we are not really good in being insane-oriented in the space. We thought that we are worse than any other creatures for some biological excuse like, oh, we don't have magnets in our beaks or something. Well, the example of the Cooktayo people shows that if your culture requests you to stay oriented really well, you actually will stay. And just to get us in agreement how good they are and how bad we are, I want all of you to close your eyes. Yeah. Close your eyes. And point southeast. Great, outstanding, absolutely perfect. Okay, now you can open your eyes. I saw you guys pointing there. Someone was pointing at me. So, to be fair, I don't know which way it is myself. And you guys have not been a lot of help. So, let's say that the accuracy in this room was pretty low. So, this shows dramatic difference in cognitive ability between two groups, where one group of a very distinguished group of you guys had no clue where southeast is. And then in the other community, I would ask a 5-year-old where southeast is and he would show it to me right away. So, the other very interesting concept that I want to talk about is how does the language affect our perception of time. So here we can see a photo of a person doing a backflip, and the photo was separated into different fragments. And if I would ask an English-speaking person to arrange the photo from the first step to the last step, that's how they would do it. They would do it from left to right. It has to do with the writing direction. We all write from left to right, and hence we think that the time travels that way. A speaker of Hebrew would do it like this, from right to left, because they write from right to left. But how do you think the Aboriginal community I just told you about would do it? So I'll give you a hint. When the people were set facing south, the time went from left to right. When people were set facing north, the time went from right to left. When people were set facing east, the time came towards the body. So what's the pattern? East to west, in it. And this shows that the language that we speak has an effect on the way we see the time. So for me, when I'm facing this way, time goes this way. I'm facing this way, time goes this way. I'm facing this way, time goes this way. So for me, the time is locked on the body, and for them, the body is locked on the time is locked on the landscape. That's a dramatically different way of thinking about time. So that's a picture, and if I ask you how many penguins you see here, how many, guys?
6.
Yeah, great. So I bet I know how you did it. You went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You assigned each penguin a number, and then the last number you said was the amount of penguins that is in the picture. And you guys can do it just because when you were small, you were taught to use a number list. You were taught to assign every single thing that you want to count a number, and then the final number would be the final amount of things. But have you ever thought how people that don't have exact words for numbers do it? There are guys around the world that don't have a word for a 7, or they don't have a word for an 8. Just think about how lucky we are to have a number list, and how lucky we are that we have the ability to use it. This opens the doors of algebra and geometry for us. This allows us to work with the numbers. Because of this, we can have this building, we can have this broadcast, we can enjoy ourselves here. Some guys around the world, they can't do it just because they simply don't count. Oh, sorry. That's my favorite example. I absolutely love how different colors look at the color spectrum. For example, in some languages you would say blue for all of the colors you see here, for example in English, and then in some languages like Russian you would differentiate between light blue, голубой, and dark blue, синий. So this means that Russian speakers have this lifetime of experiences differentiating between two colors. They're making categorical distinctions between light blue and dark blue. Scientists found that Russian speakers were 2 times faster than English speakers when differentiating between light color and a dark color. So another example that I want to tell you about is how the people and the language that they speak describe the events. For example, this is obviously an accident, right? The guy was playing and then he broke the vase, and the vase is broken, mom comes, she's mad, we all know how that goes. And in English, you would be required to say that he broke the vase, he did it. Instead of saying that it was an accident, you would be saying he did it. You're concentrating on who did it, rather on the nature of the action. But for example, in language like Spanish, you would just say the vase broke. You wouldn't have to mention it was him or someone else. You wouldn't blame anyone. You would just state that it's the nature. So this has direct connotations to the eyewitness testimonies. So for example, when an English speaker and a Spanish speaker witness the same event, English speaker remembers who did it, and the Spanish speakers remember what happened. So do you think it would be fair to take the eyewitness testimony of an English speaker and make them equal to the eyewitness testimony of the Spanish speaker when they paid attention to different things? Lastly, the easiest thing that we can think of about the languages and the way they shape our thinking is the gender nouns. So for example, the sun is feminine in German and masculine in Spanish. So this begs a question: do German speakers think about sun in a more feminine way than Spanish speakers? Well, this turns out to be the case. When German speakers and Spanish speakers were asked to describe a bridge, they gave different descriptions. In German, bridge is feminine, so the German speakers have said, well, it's elegant, it's beautiful, and Spanish speakers have said, it's long, strong, safe. The German speakers have used stereotypically feminine words, and Spanish speakers have used stereotypically female nouns. So, just now, I gave you an idea how does the language that we speak shapes the way we think. But in the end of the day, it's you who is creating your thoughts. So think about it. Thank you.